Alright, this is a recap on decimals. If you'll remember, this is our decimal place value. To the right of the decimal, we have tenths, hundreds, and thousands. If you recall, if we have a digit in the first place behind the decimal, here's the decimal and it's one place over, we call this 3/10. 3/10. Now, if we had a 3 over here in the second place, well, we just can't leave this empty. We've got to put something there. But if all I want is 300s, I've got to let you know by adding a 0 right there. So now this would be 300s. The reason I know it's in the hundreds because that's the last digit of the number. Sometimes I can have 2 digits in there. What if instead I wrote a 2? Now you recall this is 2300s. 2300s. I could also have 23,000s simply by sliding these over one place and adding a digit to that. For example, 0, 2, 3. This is 23,000. All you have to do is just to ignore the 0 for a minute and look at the 23. 23, what is the last digit in? What place value is in the 1,000ths place? This is 23,000ths. And we also know that sometimes we will have a whole number in front of the decimal or to the left of the decimal. So this is 1 and 23,000ths. We might also have 3 and, let's see, 3 and 4/10. We would write that 3 and 4/10. We could have 3, that's 3 and 600ths. We would write that 3 and 600ths. That's just a recap on the decimals. Now, have you noticed, for example, the decimal 0.1? How would we say that? First place behind the decimal, that's 1/10. Well, you may have figured this out. You can also write that as a fraction, 1/10. What about the decimal 0.06? If we were to say that the correct way, we would call that 600ths. That could be written as a fraction as well. 6/100. And you probably recognize this. Let's see. What else could we write? Here are some more fractions, or decimals, that we can work with. If you see that this is 0.25 or 2500ths, how would we write that as a fraction? And you've probably guessed that it's 25/100. Alright, right here we have 0.016 or 16,000ths. How would we write that as a fraction? Did you say 16/1,000? You were right if you said that. And here we have 5/10. 5/10. And now we would write 5/10 as 5/10. And I see that I did not put this over close enough. So this is why we have to have a 0 if we need to have a 500ths. Now this, the next one would be 50 hundredths. 50 over 100. And I will tell you this, that 0.50 and 0.5 is the same value. 5/10 equals 50 hundredths. So we'll get into that in a little bit. Now sometimes you'll have what's called mixed numbers. Mixed numbers is a whole number and a fraction. Earlier we talked about having a decimal such as 3.6, or we would call that 3 and 6/10. Well, to write this as a mixed number or a fraction, we will write a big number 3, then a 6/10 fraction beside it. If we had a fraction 4 and 25 hundredths, we would write the mixed number or fraction as a big number 4 and 25 over 100. Perhaps we would have a number 2 and 16 thousandths. We've got that 0 right there. To write that as a mixed number, we would write a big number 2, 16 over 1,000. So your turn. How would you write the number? Well, I'm not going to say it, that'll give it away, but I'll just show you. How would you write the number 13 and 7/100ths as a mixed number? How would you write this decimal as a mixed number or a fraction? Big number or smaller numbers? You know the drill. Pause the video, write it down, let me know what you got. Did you get 13 and 7/100ths? If so, you got it right.